It's a well-established fact that those organizations which think strategically, plan competitively, and execute intensely will most certainly eclipse the rest of their field. It's for this very reason that rapid strategic execution plays such a vital role in the bottom line success for so many of us in business today. A recognized expert in this area, our speaker has been involved in the designing of competitive strategies for over 2 decades. He has held positions with some of the world's leading-edge companies such as General Electric, IBM, Data General, and McDonnell Douglas, which helps account for his in-depth understanding of today's rapidly changing business environment. Ladies and gentlemen, with us today to share his views on rapid strategic execution, please help me welcome from Orange County, California, marketing strategist, Dr. Pete Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Can you hear me okay over the microphone? Very good? Okay. Whenever I begin to address a group such as this on a topic as vitally important as business strategy and planning, it tends to remind me of a very similar situation that took place many years ago. This was back during the height of World War II. It seems there was this very young lieutenant was one morning addressing a group of his troops to explain to them about a new type of life insurance that the U.S. government referred to as GI insurance. For the next hour and a half, he went on to explain in minute detail why he felt every single person in his unit should sign up and participate for the insurance. After an hour and a half of lecturing, he said, "How many want to get involved? Just raise your hands." Well, after an hour and a half of lecturing, not a single person responded positively. Very discouraged, he went over and he took his seat. Seeing this whole scenario take place, a veteran sergeant who had been with the troops for quite some time went over to the lieutenant and said, "Would you mind if I said a few words? Maybe I can make a difference." The lieutenant said, "Please be my guest, because at this point we've got nothing to lose." The sergeant stands up and he says, "Look, I don't know a whole lot about this life insurance, and it's obvious that the lieutenant has really studied up on the subject. He really knows it cold. But I guess I look at things a little differently than he does. You see, the way I understand it, in a few days, we're all going to be getting shipped overseas to join the war efforts. Many of us are going to be put in the front lines, and you know as well as I, some of us are not going to be coming back. Now, as I understand it, if you're put in the front lines and you don't make it back and you've signed up for this new GI insurance, well, then the U.S. government will be obligated to give your family a check for $10,000. However, he said, if you're put in the front lines and you don't make it back and you're not one of the ones that signed up for the new insurance, then the government is not obligated to send your family one thin dime." He said, "I think the question we should be asking ourselves here today is not whether or not you're interested in buying any of their life insurance, but rather this. Who do you think the U.S. government is about to put in the front lines first? The one that's going to cost them $10,000 or the one that doesn't cost a dime?" I tell you this story as a point of illustration because the number of times I've seen people come to a conference like this and walk away with volumes of ideas and notes on all the things they would like to do over the next 3, 6, 9 months, only to find out that they really don't ever execute anything. What you're going to find is it really comes down to 3 or 4 things that you can start doing over the next week to 2 weeks that will make a difference and get you moving forward in a very proactive manner. It's not the volume as it is the accuracy of what you're doing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about not just strategic planning, but rapid strategic execution. What are the next 3 things that I should be doing based on my targets and my objectives that will move me forward? And it may not even be close to the person sitting next to me. It's relevant to your business. The other thing I'd like to point out is you'll notice we're referring to this as business and not profession. As a professional, you're going to do those things that relate to you. But in a business, you've got to start to think more like you're a company. You've got to think in terms of infrastructure, of organization. It's a whole lot different. I can remember hearing a speaker talk at the NSA convention way back 35 years ago when Tony and Don and I first met, and he said, Write the word INC behind your name and start thinking like you're a business, and it'll change your perspective on how you make progress. That's the key. You got to think like a business. So by saying this, what I'm basically saying is the more we think in an organized fashion, the better off it is. Now, I'm going to start you off with a couple of things that I picked up over the years, and if you would, go to the program handout. By the way, this is up on the cloud, the Google Cloud. If anybody wants to log in and follow, you don't even have to log in. If you follow along, it's the peeradvisoryforum.com. Go over to Cloud Access, Groups. Okay, there's your program handout right there. Okay, click on that. He's now on what you have in hard copy, and as we go through this today, he's going to be actually typing in and updating that so that if anybody wants an updated version of this with any notes that come out of the group discussion, all you have to do is do what he just did and print it out, and then you will have it. You can download this as an Excel file. It's yours to use. You'll notice we don't put copyright on anything. We design this for people to use. We're here to help. Okay, so anyway, by the way, people will say to me all the time, why are you using this kind of a graphic on your materials? I said, because I've learned a very long time ago, we can't accomplish anything all by ourselves. If you're not functioning in some kind of a small team where you've got people working with you in collaboration, you're going to get stuck. You're going to get overwhelmed. So what we do is we try to work in teams of 3 to 5. You're actually looking at 3 people that are interns from USC. In fact, here, Fiona, raise your hand. There's Fiona. Brian, and where's Ryan? Ryan right there. They're all seniors at USC. They're part of an internship program where they're learning how to use this in schools, and they have this particular program for their career for when they got out of college. They are also using it in connection with a college project, and that's what they're learning by being a part of the internship program. It was within driving distance, so I said, come on down, you can help out with the program. So I thanked them for making the trip down. Okay, so what they function like is this right here. They function like a Navy SEAL team. Each one has a role and responsibilities. They know exactly what they're doing. One person's on real-time data capture, the other one is on research and analysis, the other one is on logistics. They can switch positions at any point in time, but they function like a finely organized team. So go to the next page. A couple of quotes I want to share with you before I get started. The first one is, even a fool with a plan will be better off than a genius without a plan. T. Boone Pickens. I don't care how bad the plan is, but if I've got a plan and it's in hard copy and for any reason it's not working right, all I have to do is take a look at this and I can figure out what to change or fix. But if it's not written down, no chance. This third one I want to mention to you is the most organized, the most focused, and the most prepared will always prevail. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. In other words, be more organized going into a meeting or a presentation with a customer than the customer is. Make sure you do your due diligence before you go in. And then the last one is number 6. Don't tell me, show me. I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, so if this is what your goal is for 2016, how do you intend to get there? Do you have a plan for this? He goes, yes, I do. I said, I'd like to see it. He says, it's right here. I go, do you have it written down anywhere? He goes, I probably do. I said, maybe it's in your briefcase. He goes, no, it's not in my briefcase. I said, did you leave it in your car? He says, no, it's not in my car. You have to have the plan written down. It doesn't matter how fragmented, but if I've got something written down, I can now make progress. I can fine-tune it. I can dial it in. I can calibrate it. What you have here is what we use for doing a strategic execution plan. So, before I get started, let me ask a couple of quick opening questions. How many of you have goals and objectives for your business to grow your business bigger, more profitable, more sales over the next 18 months than you did over the last 12 months? Can I see your hands? Looks like about 98% of the audience. Next question. How many of you have read a book, attended a conference, maybe listened to a speaker on the importance of planning and execution over the last 24 months? Can I see your hands? Again, looks like about 95%. Next question. How many of you have been involved in any kind of a meeting over the last 12 months with other people to discuss your strategy or plan for how to grow your business? Can I see those hands? Looks like 100%. Last question. How many of you were attending today's session because you heard Tony was bringing in this dynamic, high-powered, exciting, dynamic speaker, Pete Johnson, and you wanted to come here and you wanted to catch his dog and pony show? Let's see, those people here for the dog and pony show. Don, come on. Some of us go back about 35 years. It's almost embarrassing for me to admit that because some of us have aged a lot better than I have. But anyway, so my point I'm trying to make is I am almost never invited to speak at a conference because I'm an inspirational or entertaining speaker. That I'm not. I'm here for one reason. If you're trying to go from point A to point B and you're under pressure and you're trying to accomplish this in a very, very quick amount of time, is there a way to do this that will ramp this thing up even faster? And the answer is yeah, that's what we're talking about. We're dealing with that. So in that case, let me take off my jacket, loosen my tie, and roll up my sleeves. It's time for us to get to work. Now, on page 1 in your program handout, go to page 1, the overview. At the top of the page, what I've listed is what I consider to be the prime directives of strategy execution. The prime directives basically come down to this. Number 1, whatever process or concept you're going to use, it must be simple. It's got to be simple. It can't be complicated. Simple, straightforward. What you're going to see here is everything is on one page. When I say, okay, goals and objectives, yeah, one page. When I say, okay, what about the way in which you analyze your target markets? One page. Everything is on one page. You're going to see a series of one-page templates that are very organized. So, number 2, must be quick. Somebody says to me, yes, I took a program on strategic planning about 5 years ago. It almost took me that long to just do the strategic plan. I go, no. Way too complicated, okay? It's got to be something that you can put together in a surprisingly short amount of time. This thing is modular. You're looking at an engineer's approach to doing planning and execution. So when I say it must be quick, I'm talking about a turnaround time on doing anything in 48 hours. People say to me, you can't do it in 48 hours. I said, if I give you one page and I tell you I want this information, give me everything you can in 48 hours, do the best you can in 48 hours, then we're going to move on to the next assignment. If you're working in that kind of a compressed time frame, it comes together very, very quickly. I just sent something over to a new client over in Washington, D.C. I said, I need this information. You have 48 hours. I got the thing back. She says, here it is. I'm ready for the next step. As soon as you start thinking in terms of 48 hours and that's the tempo, you will be amazed at how quickly things execute. Instead of taking weeks and months, we're talking about 48-hour window. Whoa. Number 3, must produce immediate visible results. That's another dilemma with typical strategic planning. By the time they're done with vision, mission, values, core competencies, BHAG, SWOT, and all the rest of the stuff they throw in, it's like you're so exhausted, weeks go by, you don't see anything change, okay? This produces results in a surprisingly short amount of time. Our time frame there is between 4 to 6 weeks. That's what we're looking for. When I say immediate results, 4 to 6 weeks. So, what is it we're focused on? That's interesting. See right here in this spot right here, let me tell you what you typically see in there. You will, if you take a look at anybody's strategic plan, you read any books on strategic planning, this is what they're going to tell you. I've had people tell me, I've got a strategic plan, and they'll show me this. What you see is vision. By the way, you already know I can't write, okay? You see I can't write worth a darn up here. Not only that, I can't spell, and I abbreviate phonetically. So I'm going to tell you right up front, I am extraordinarily dyslexic. I will spell the same word wrong two different ways on the same flip chart page and think that that's innovation, okay? But I'm going to tell you right now, I had somebody come up to me one time and they said, I made a list of all of the words you spelled wrong when you were writing on the flip chart. What do you say to that person? I go, thank you very much. Because I got no chance of memorizing these things. So the only thing I can do is I can thank them for their thoughtfulness, but I'm probably going to do it even worse wrong next time around. But I tell you that up front. So vision number one. The second one you see is mission. Next thing you hear is core competencies, or I'm sorry, core values. They say, now that we know our core values, we can move forward. It's like, listen, guys, you're not into the how yet. You're still into the what, okay? Then you have core competencies. Then you have what? KPI. We got to have KPI in here, all right? We got to have BHAG, all right? That means big, hairy, audacious goals. Oh, then we have to have SWOT. That's what I meant by the dyslexia. W-O-T. Now I've got all of this, I still haven't started on the how, okay? I've spent all of this time doing the what, and you're so exhausted, you go, what do I do next? What we do is we go, we don't have time for that. Let's get into the plan and the execution quickly. So, yep, I'll put all of that on that line. You can type it in if you want to. Okay, no, don't do it. Okay, so now, here, we broke it down into 4 phases or stages. It looks like this. Before we even get started, what we believe is that the first thing you have to do is a rapid strategic execution infrastructure. An infrastructure. I need to put together a way of doing this so that when I come up with the plans and programs and goals and et cetera, objectives, that I've got a way of executing this. The problem is they try to get into doing all of the goals and everything first, and then they take a look at how they're going to execute it. I totally disbelieve this. I've been doing it the other way for 25, 30 years. Do the execution infrastructure first, and then anything I give them to do, they can do it. It goes back to SEAL team training. By the time you come out of SEAL team training, I don't care if I'm giving you an assignment where it's the desert or the jungle. You'll adapt. You know what to do. It goes right back to the way the military executes any kind of a mission. So first is the infrastructure. What you have here in this handout is the infrastructure. This is exactly how it works. It's up on the cloud. Okay, the second component of this is what I'll call competitive advantage. Competitive advantage is where you get to the branding and the touch point analysis. So if you meet somebody for the first time, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to judge you by the way you dress and the way in which you come across. Everything that you're talking about with the disc profiles addresses that. It says, should I be dressed this way for this particular meeting or should I be dressed this way? We went to a meeting with the ops team 2 months ago. They went to the meeting. We set up what the strategy was going to be going in. We had it all laid out. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think I even put that page in here. But anyway, that was a strategy for going into a networking meeting. When we came out of the meeting, we did an after-action review, which is what you do coming out of any major event. When we did the after-action review, one of the interns says, remember that part in there where it says, people propagate to the sharpest people in the room, and our assignment was to identify the 3 sharpest people in the room, get their business cards, and here are our business cards. However, you rode your motorcycle up to the meeting, and you had your Harley Davidson jacket on. And that didn't make you the sharpest person in the room at this meeting. I could have said, yeah, but I was able to drive in the carpool lane. I could go between cars, because this is in California. I am now making an explanation of why I did not adhere to the strategy. So at the meeting a week and a half ago, I went dressed just like this. People are coming up to me saying, now who are you? Are you the speaker? What do you do here? I go, when we left, the team gets together with me afterwards. They go, your strategy worked a lot better this time, didn't it, Pete? They don't call me Pete, by the way, but they made their point. It's like, okay, you guys were right. You see what I'm getting at? In other words, when the stuff is working and you got a team working with you on this, you can dial this thing in pretty quickly. But if you're a solo on this, it's a whole lot tougher. Okay, so the next one is competitive advantages. The pieces to do this, I didn't stick them in here, but I have it as a handout and I'll show you, but that's in the second phase. The third phase is marketing and business development. And I know tomorrow you've got at least 2 speakers that I'm aware of, maybe 3 or 4, that are focusing on sales, marketing, and business development. So I'm not going to get into that, but we have that as part of phase 3. Once I've got the infrastructure in place and I've done the branding and the touch point analysis, now I am ready to do marketing, sales, and business development. But if I go out there and by the way, there was a company that did this. They were called Z-Best Carpets a long time ago. This guy was the best at doing marketing and sales than you would ever find. Then they find out what this guy was doing, they put him in prison, okay? The point is there are people that are really slick at this stuff, but they don't have the infrastructure in place. You got to do all of it. Last part is scalability. Scalability is now that I'm firing on all 8 cylinders, I'm ready to expand and roll this thing out. The number of times I get people to try to negotiate me over a contract on how to divide up a piece of pie, and they're talking about phase 4, and we haven't even gone through phase 1 yet, and they're already talking about how we're going to divide this up when we make millions of dollars. I'm going, guys, you're getting ahead of yourself. Okay? Stay with step 1, 2, and 3 first. So that's how that looks. Now, next step, what I'm going to refer to as strategic due diligence. This comes into play every single time we're analyzing anything, and here's how it works. I'm going to ask you to break into teams of 2 to 3 people. So you're sitting at tables here where there's 3 of you, there's 3 here, there's 3 here, there's 2 here. So take teams of 2 to 3 people. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to determine who's going to be the spokesperson or team leader for your team. Your assignment is to come up with what your team feels are 5 of the most innovative companies in the world today using any criteria you want to use. Most innovative companies in the world today. But for each company you come up with, part B on that, I want to know what is it that's that company's key to success. So let me repeat the assignment. Teams of 2 to 3 people, spokesperson for the team, 5 most innovative companies in the world, and why are they so darn successful? You've got 4 minutes to do this, so you got to go quickly, okay? Let's go to work. World's most innovative companies, why are they so darn successful? Okay, let's take a look and see what we came up with. All right, to get us started, let's see. I'm going to go to this team. Hold on, you're next. This team right here. Who's the spokesperson for this team? Oh, wait, hold on. Did you see what just happened? Did you catch that? I'm watching this team right here. I said, who's going to be the spokesperson for this team? He's still looking down at the list. These 2 are going, he is. You ever notice, if you're not watching what's going on, you get volunteered for stuff, okay? Let's take one of the items, one company that you had on your list. What was one of the companies? Uber. Who? Uber. Uber? That's a company? Hold on. Hey, what are you doing? You're on my side, okay? You don't write till I say it's okay. How many of you think that Uber ought to be up on that list? Let's see, thumbs up for Uber. All right. Let's not mutiny here. Put him up there. You can see he's already convinced. He's already writing it up there. Here is a company that from out of nowhere comes in, takes the market by storm, and if I'm not mistaken, they don't have a lot of capital equipment that they own. Pretty nifty little business model, isn't it? Yeah? Not bad. Their key to success?
Key to success is provide a service that
can I help?
they have to spend too much money on.
Would you say technical innovation probably gave them an advantage?
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm over in Shanghai, China a couple of months ago, and it says here, click on this icon if you want them in English, because I want the driver to speak English. If you want an upscale car, press this. Then they send you a note to tell you that the guy is outside. I mean, this thing is like so whiz-bang. It makes trying to hail a cab look like you must be a moron, okay? Why would you ever do this? Okay, so Uber, technical innovation, absolutely. Okay, now this team back here, yes, what was one of the ones you had on your list? Who? They know what they mean, but they can't agree on the pronunciation. So, no.
Yes.
Tesla.
Yeah.
Tesla. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Tesla. What is it about? By the way, how many of you would agree and put Tesla up on the list? Think they ought to be on the list? Okay, I'm going to tell you a quick story. Did my wife already take off? Oh, there she is. Okay. I thought she might have left the room, in which case it would have been okay to tell this, okay? So, a friend of ours, he's got the second Tesla. He's got one, then he went and got the high-powered one. This is a guy who has, he sold a motorcycle. He had a motorcycle that had a Corvette engine on it. So when they came out with this Tesla that is so powerful that it can beat a jet plane on takeoff or something like that. Anyway, he comes down to take us for a ride in this thing. I'm sitting in the back. I thought I was going to pass out at the acceleration. I actually got a headache for it. So he lets my wife drive it a little bit, and it's like, okay, so you put your hands on the wheel, and you press the autopilot, and it makes the corners, it takes the exit. She gets out, she goes, I think we need one of these cars. It backs itself out of the garage and everything. So on the way down today, she says, I think we should be taking the new Tesla. Okay. So tell me, is this not a, well, okay, I'm going to go back to that team. So Tesla, their key to success?
Okay, so innovation, both futuristic thinking and technical.
Okay, so futuristic / technical thinking.
Yeah, and
all right?
clear and shared goals. Clear, shared
goals. Okay,
yeah.
all right. So put clear, it's got to be on the same line. All right, let me go to the next one. Let's go to somebody over here. Somebody over here have a company they want to put on the list? Yeah.
Apple.
Apple? Hold on. No. That's okay. So how many of you agree that Apple computers should be on the list? Let's see your hands. Apple computer. This is a no-brainer. Okay, I get them. They come in like first or second every single time. Okay, put them up there. Apple computer. Now, anybody here happen to have a phone that is not a smartphone? Anybody here with a phone that's not a smartphone? In other words, remember the days when you had what was that flip phone that we all used to have there, the Motorola? Okay, that was like the status symbol. Whatever happened to those guys? Okay. See, so all of a sudden Apple comes along with this new smartphone, and look what it done. It totally disrupted the entire industry. And they continue to kick the thing up year after year after year. I'm already in hot water with my wife, so I'm not even going to mention this, okay? So forget I even brought that up. So my point being, Apple, their key to success?
Knowing what the customer wants before they know.
Okay, so knowing what the customer wants, or know your customer. Know your customer. Okay, let's see. I'll take two more. Let's see, right here. Okay, let's take yours. No, don't do that. Who? Google? What is that? That's like. Anybody here have Google on their list or think they ought? All right, put them up there. Okay, we happen to use the Google Drive here, so I can't really nix these guys. Google, key to success with Google?
Well, I don't know if it's key to the success, but they're so successful that they're basically a verb in the dictionary now.
There was no word until Google came along, and now they're actually in the dictionary. They've become a generic for doing research on the internet. Somebody says, well, what you want to do is if you want to get information on that, just Google it. So yeah, generic identity or branding. Branding, generic identity, absolutely correct. All right, one more, we'll take one more. Way over here. Yes, ma'am.
Abundance 360, Peter Diamandis, Ansari X Space Prize, and he broadens the vision for everyone and pulls the absolute best.
Okay, so you're saying the name of the company is?
Abundance 360.
Abundance 360, okay, let's put them down. And their key to success was?
They have such broad vision for the best for the future.
Okay, so broad vision, best of the future. Okay, so now what I wanted to do was I wanted to take you through a very quick exercise that says anytime you want to go and do something new, don't start with a blank piece of paper. What you want to do is you want to go out and you want to find 5 examples of somebody who has already done this, that has done such an impressive job that I can use them as a benchmark or a role model. I can show you where we've done this repeatedly over and over and over again. We were working on a newsletter for one of the peer advisory forum members, so we went and looked at a whole bunch of newsletters. In fact, I'm going to mention a couple of newsletters because some of my friends here know these guys. One of the newsletters we used as the benchmark to try to design this for one of our members was Shep Hyken. And he has one of the best newsletters I've seen. The other one is Dan Burris. So those are two of the top 5. So if you're designing a newsletter, don't start from scratch. Look at some other ones that you're really impressed with. Take some of the elements that they're using and then use that as a baseline or a draft for what you're doing. And if you're ever going to do anything like this where you're trying to work on something like that, shoot us out a note. These are the team that go and do the research on the internet. And then they just shoot it over to you. So, all right, let's give my assistants a round of applause. Thank you very much, team. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through what happens next. This is just kind of an overview on how the thing takes place. Go to the next tab. Now, remember I said it's important to have goals and objectives. And over here I even outlined some of them that are what you typically see, which says vision, mission, core values, core competencies, KPI, BHAG, SWOT, et cetera, et cetera. We don't do it that way. We do believe that you should have a mission statement. In fact, the best mission statement I could possibly give you as a case example comes from a country and western song, and it was sung by David Allan Coe back, I don't know, 30 years ago. And if I'm not mistaken, the way he sings the song, he gets all the way up to the last verse of the song and then he pauses. He says, a friend of mine named Steve Goodman wrote this song, and he sent it to me claiming that it was the perfect country and western song. I really liked this song, but I couldn't help but notice that he missed out on a couple of things here to make it the perfect country and western song, because he didn't say anything about mama, getting drunk, trucks, trains, rain, or prison. Some of you that follow country and western already know what I'm talking about. So he sends me over the last verse of the song. He says, I think this might cover all the bases. When I read it, I thought he did the perfect country and western song, so I put it on this album. And then he sings the last verse of the song, and it goes like this. He says, I was drunk the day my mama got out of prison. I just hit 3 of them right there, okay? So I went to pick her up in the rain. But before I could get there in the pickup truck, she got run over by the train. And the point I'm trying to make is, who cares if it's grammatically correct? Give me one statement that tells me what you're trying to do. And so, good, I got a mission statement now, okay? Now, if you have a business where you've gone and spent time developing a vision statement and core values and core competencies and the rest of the things, fine, stick them in here. But that's just the starting point. That's just getting going. Now, we also believe that you should have a branding statement, or this is where your competitive advantage is defined. If I looked in mine, I must have 6 or 7 statements in mine. Let's see. By the way, mine is right here. Now, I'm on phase 4. I've got all of the stuff in mine. I've been doing this for a long time. But these are some of the ones I have in mind. Specialist in rapid strategic execution planning since 1979. Don't tell me, show me. I take some of the quotes, I put them in as my statements. Here's another one. We do it for real. When your strategies and plans just can't afford to fail. Rapid, fluid, succinct. Anything that gives you a way of positioning or branding yourself in your business compared to other alternatives, those are the kinds of things you put in there. In advertising, they call these things taglines or slogans, but this is where you put them. Then, I know you're going to hear people talk about sales and elevator speeches. The problem with an elevator speech is that everybody recognizes it when it's being done. What we did is we decided that we should do it different. It should be a strategic introduction. And so if you're at a networking meeting where people are introducing yourselves and you do an elevator speech, everybody is thinking the same way. But if you did a strategic introduction, like you heard my introduction, it tells you nothing about my background. It tells you nothing about what I do. It's all about what we're going to talk about, okay? Think through the introduction and make it a strategic introduction. 20 seconds or less. The less you say, the better off you are. I want them to hear my introduction when I'm in a meeting and come over and say, I listened to the whole thing, but I'm not really sure what you do. What is it you really do? As opposed to, I heard everything you did, I think I got it, we don't need to talk anymore. That's my point, okay? So we put that right in there as part of our opening strategy, right? Then, I agree about KPIs and metrics, but here's what we tell you. Just give me 5. I was working with a company one time. They said, we have 30 KPIs. I said, how's that working for you? He said, well, it's a little complicated. It's like pick the 5 most important. I know if you don't measure it, you can't make progress, but you guys are overdoing it, okay? You're micromanaging. Give me the 5 most important. It's really quite simple. Units sold, you don't have to type this in. Units sold, revenue generated, profit, customer ratings or reactions like that, and future development, something along those lines. But keep it simple and straightforward, okay? Scroll down. Okay, so the next thing we have in there is it says, if I could pick 4 things that would be major strategic accomplishments over the next 3 to 9 months, big things. Units sold, okay, revenue generated, sales, profit, customer rating, and then maybe some future program development or future projects or something that would be on top of what I normally do, my core business, okay? And by the way, if you have any questions about any of these things and you call me up 10, 15 minutes on the phone talking to you, I can probably tell you exactly what they should be. But again, keep it to 5, okay? Sometimes you can make it, if it's a company, you can make an argument. I might go to 6 or 7 because I might have attrition rate there or something else. I got it. But the more you put down and the more you try to track, the more complicated it gets. Get real good at the top 2 or 3. Okay, so on major strategic accomplishments, those are big things. One of the things might be new computer system. Okay, in other words, we've been having trouble with our computer system. It's been having problems. It's a couple of years old. I know I need to change it, but I got a lot of stuff going on, etc. It's like in the next 3 to 6 months, I'm going to get a new computer system. When I get that done, it's not buying the computer. It's getting the data and the programs from one to the other. That's the challenge, okay? But when you get it done, it's a big deal, okay? So what I'm getting at is pick the top 3 things that are big deals that if you can accomplish them. I had my 2015 tax filing on mine up until a little while ago, and actually that was down under red for critical issue too. Once I get that done, it's like, oh, thank goodness I'm behind. I don't have to send them money this year. But it's a big deal. You got it off the list, okay? Now you can applaud your accomplishments. Yes, ma'am?
Are they more operational?
It depends. It depends on your situation. If I said to you, what are the 5 biggest accomplishments or achievements that you did in the last 12 months, what would you list? Then if I said, aha, let's look at those. Now, over the next 12 months, what would they be? Have you been to an NSA annual convention yet? Put that on your list. The National Speakers Association annual convention, that is like the Mecca. That is a life changer. Where's Tony? Am I not right?
Absolutely.
I know there's other people that are. Okay, you see Don. Oh, I know Don. Okay, actually, Don, you were what, the second or third president of? Third. He's older than he looks. Okay, but he was also president as a teenager, or darn close. What I'm getting at is, I was talked into going to that. I met Tony at that thing. I got to tell you, that's a life changer for you. You will not believe what that is like. It's basically 2,000 people like this in a room. It's a big deal. Carol, you've been to that. So that's right. See, so what I'm getting at is you pick something that's a really big deal, and then when you do it, you go, wow, that was one of the biggest accomplishments I did this year. Now let's celebrate that, okay? All right, then critical issues, those are problems, challenges, things that are causing you sleepless nights. They can be anything. They can be personal. Okay, they can be business related. I need to find an assistant for my business because I can't do it all by myself. That thing could be on both lists. Okay, I need an executive assistant. I've got a guy. One of my members is telling me, I need an intern like with what you have. Then he says to me, by the way, if you're going to be traveling, you know, I could keep your intern busy. It's like, I don't think so. Okay, but you see what I'm getting at? In other words, you see somebody doing something, you say, boy, if we could do this, that would be a game changer for us. Like, put it on your list. Now, develop a strategy for how you're going to do that. Everything that you see here, there's a page on strategy on how to do that, and then all you do is you keep dialing the strategy. And this is like shooting fish in a barrel. This is really simple stuff. Okay, the last column here is upcoming events. So any event that's an important event for you that takes place over the next 3, 4, 5 months, you want to have on that list. You want to have the date, you want to have the location, and what I do is I say, okay, who's the lead, and then should I have a wingman on this? We'll talk about wingman a little further on. Okay, so anything that's going on. So you've already put National Speakers Association Convention on it. What's the date of the convention next year? Does anybody know? It's got to be July or August. July in Orlando. Okay, so you got Orlando, you got July. If you go to nsaspeaker.org, it'll give you all the information.
Done.
Right? So what I'm getting at is, the more things you put on this list that tighten your focus, it's amazing how this stuff magically starts to get done when you get to the pages that actually show how do I make forward progress. Keep in mind, everything I'm talking about right here, this is just goals and objectives. This is the bare minimum. When we do a strategic planning retreat with a client, a company client, we have this before we even walk into the strategic planning retreat. They do this in the planning retreat. We have this going in. We start on what's the execution coming out of it. That's what this is for. So now we got that together. Go to the next page. This is the single most important page in the entire concept. This is the rapid execution follow-up system right here. This is done. This is what I was telling you. I got the concept from Mort Utley over breakfast about 35 years ago, okay? It's one page that says, what are the top 3 things that are my top priorities as I look out over the next 1 to 5 weeks? What's my A1, my A2, my A3? So therefore, I have my name, I have the date. I have it right justified. You're messing with my format, Brian. He's looking at that, he's going, but it's not centered. These guys are like so fast. Okay, so I have my name, the date, then I say my A1 priority is this, my A2 priority is this, my A3 priority is this. Now, if I were to ask my interns, is it possible that I have a card in my pocket right now that would have that information on it for the next day? What would you think, interns? Where's Ryan? What do you think? Is there a probability I would have that on my card? Would the top of that card be colored in blue? Yeah, probably is, yeah. Right. I do it on cards because these things move even faster than putting up on the cloud, but I do have it so that everybody, see, look, he's holding up here, they all have them. They come into a meeting, the first thing we do when they come into a meeting is I go, okay, A1 for today is this, A2 for the day is this, A3 for the day is this, those are gold, then these are green, then scroll down, there's yellow, that's for calls and emails, and anything that was accomplished, you have to come up with your 2 top accomplishments since the last meeting. Scroll down, there it is in purple. If I showed you, where's Fiona's? I happen to have Fiona's because she gave it to me 2 days ago, and this is the one, this is your career plan. This is her career plan, but she's got one for the Center for Leadership at Cal State Fullerton. I'm going to just show you what she's got. This is what she's got for filled in purple for accomplishments in the last week. Okay? I'm going to show you further because it tracks for the entire program on another page. But this is tracking all of that stuff, and this is a week to 3 weeks type tracking system, which shows you how fast this thing implements. Okay, go to the next page. The next page is a strategy action plan. Yeah, see, I gave you a blank one. There is one of these that shows what the strategy is done going into a networking meeting that lays the whole thing out using this template that is so precise, this thing works every single time. We've done it. We did it over a 2-month period going to a series of networking meetings just to prove it could be done. We went to like the lamest networking meetings you would possibly want to go to. You'd walk into this meeting, you say, let me see if I got this right. I've got to find the 3 sharpest people in the room. I'm in the wrong room, okay? But you have to come up with, so who are your three? And each one of them had to come up with, okay, here's the card for this one, this one, this one, now why? What it does is it sharpens your axe if you're a woodcutter. You get better and better at doing this each time. Now, when you get into a real high-powered, high-target environment, just keep doing what you were doing all along. You've already done so much practice at this, I got it. I know exactly what I'm doing. Say, but that's, you pulled it up? These guys are good, aren't they? Now, you'll notice there's some things in blue. Let me explain what happens. Anytime any of the people go in to update any page, they have to change the date at the top of the page. That's in Tony's manual, so that's probably further back. So you just touched, so he's already done it. He's got to change the date at the top of the page so that we know it's been updated. He changes the date on the page, and then anything that was changed, he has to change into blue, and anything that was in blue prior to that, he moves to black. You can look at any page and find out what was updated since its last revision. Right? We've been doing this a while. So that's how that works. And this thing here is all accessed on the cloud. Okay, go back over to, that's that. Okay, now go to the tip page. Okay, so here's what we're going to do next. Yep.
If you make more than one change, do you change it to a different color and then the date changes?
No. Let's say, that's a good question. If I change more than one item in the same day but at different times, doesn't matter. Okay, it still stays in blue. Here's what happens. Black is what you have. Blue is, it's an update since it was printed last. If it's marked in red, that means somebody that looked at it knows something's wrong with this and has flagged it in red. Okay? Now you'll also see another color that's used on borders, which is purple. Purple signifies this is something that was done in the past that has been accomplished. So there's pages in there. You're not seeing them here because it's tracking the schedule, but you'll see those items are in purple. That means it's accomplished, and it's also got a line through it. There's a color. I worked for the Army for like 19 years doing this stuff at military bases. I've adapted some of their color codes, but you had to be so on top of the details because if they could find a way to blame you for anything, they did, okay? The whole thing is get nothing on your list of stuff to do when you come out of the meeting, all right? So we had to get real clever at this. All right, now, I'm going to take you through how this works. Because we've got some extra time, I'm going to show you how I would attend a conference such as this. So we come into a conference, they have speakers that speak on a variety of subjects. I'm going to pick 4 topics. So one of the topics I'm going to pick is, let me do it over here. I'm going to pick see if this is written on a card someplace. Yeah. The operative word, by the way, you'll notice that you see this throughout this particular program. It's got Kaizen. I'm sure most of you have a definition of Kaizen, so I'm going to give you mine. It's relentless, ongoing innovation and improvement. I want to get better and better with every passing day. If I am not smarter tomorrow than I was yesterday, this was a wasted trip, and I can tell you already, I've got so many notes from things that I've watched being done here that is going to change the way my team and I do things, that tomorrow I'll have an after-action review that says, okay, we're going to change this, do this, do this, do this, do this. We already know what they are. We've already been writing them down. By the way, that after-action review is also in your plan here. But my point is this. So, Kaizen. The first thing I'm going to talk about is coaching. By the way, I know nothing about coaching. I am not a coach, okay? I'm a strategic analyst. I look at what's going on and why it's not working, and then what I do is I go, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, or I'll shoot you, okay? In other words, I've had people tell me, listen, if you don't have the answer, why am I talking to you? It's like, okay, let me give you the answer. So you better be right. It's like, if I'm not right, you'll shoot me. I got it, okay? That's not a coach. A coach says, you know, we need to look at this a little bit differently. There's no disc in what I do. The people are all high D, okay, right off the bat. It's like, you're it or you're fired. So, coaching. So what can I do to Kaizen or improve my coaching skills? And that's what this program has been all about from the time it started. But what I'm saying is, the group that gets this assigned has got to come up, I'll get to that. You're going to have to come up with some suggestions. So that's A. B, marketing. Marketing is different than selling. C is selling. Marketing is what you do before you get in front of that client. Your business card. When was the last time you printed your business card, and what does it say on it? Okay, where is it? And you and I are going to have a talk later. Okay, but this is what I'm getting at. We stopped getting our business cards printed up in quantities of 250. We were changing them too fast. I'd look at the thing, I'd go, I think the logo's too small. We print it again, I go, I think the logo's too big. It's like, but we got 250 of these things. Why don't we wait till we're done? It's like, no, change it. Kaizen, Kaizen, Kaizen. Okay, so selling. That's what do you do when you get in front of the person that you're trying to convince? And then D is operations. Operations is, how do I run this better as a business if I had 2 or 3 employees that were working for me and I needed them doing stuff? People think if I go out and I get an employee or I hire somebody or I get an intern, then I can tell them what to do. You're doing it the wrong way. Figure out what you need the person to do before you go out and look for somebody to do it. And the worst thing you can do is take a friend of yours that's out of work and say, well, listen, I can have you help me. That is like, I suppose it can work, but I've not seen it, okay? You didn't pick that person because of their talent and skills. You picked them because you were a friend, and now you can't even get rid of them because you're friends. So what I'm getting at is there's some flaws in the strategy sometimes. So, operations. Now here's what the assignment is. I'm doing this because we are now hitting the last 30-minute point, which Tony said to me in a text not that long ago, can you do an extra 30 minutes? I said, I'm not sure if I have the right handout to do that. And he said, but you told me you were adaptable. And I go, you got me on that. My pleasure. But anyway, so here's what we did. What we did is scroll. I said to Brian, unhide. So we unhid the whole page. Then I said, take out the, scroll to the top. I said, take out the dots here. Okay, so we took out the dots because you're not supposed to fill this in. And now I'm going to show you how that works. So if I start off and I say coaching, I'm going to say I got to watch the way I do this. As soon as you get to 5 or 6 people, you get what is called polarization. We are on the fringe of polarization if I make these 5 people on the same team. So I'm trying to make a judgment call on, do I have a team of 2 and 3 or shall I go to 5? I'm going to let you make the call. What do you want? A team of 2 and 3 or a team of 5? 3. I'm with you. Okay, so pick the 3 people you want on your team. By the way, pick people close to you.
1, 2.
Go, okay, got it. So 1, 2, 3, 4 teams, okay? Your teams are in category A. Your teams are in B. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do it also if you guys want to. All right, over here, I've got, are you guys in or are you? Okay, so this is a team. This is my wife, so I can already tell you she's going to say, I ain't being on no team, okay? And you're going to pay for this later if you try to get me to do this. Tony knows. Okay, so 1, 2, you're with me. 2, okay, you're part of this team here. So there's a team of 5. I'm trusting you on this, okay? I have great plans for you guys doing this, okay? So there's a team, and then here's another team, okay? Then over here, I got 1 team, 2 teams, 3 teams, okay? So I got 3 teams here. Now here's how this works. All of you that are teams A topics, you're going to discuss coaching in separate teams. So this team is going to make their list, you're going to make your list, you're going to make your list, you're going to make your list. Each team makes a separate list. You're on this page in green, okay? Just right from the top down. The assignment is each one of you, you have to come up with 7 suggestions or ideas on that topic. You're only going to be given 7 minutes. Don't start yet. You have the second topic, which is marketing. Ideas, suggestions, and recommendations on Kaizen for marketing. What can I do to be better at marketing, to improve my marketing? You say, okay, I'm going to do television advertising. It's like, write it down. It's probably not going to happen, but write it down, okay? Each team is going to come up with their list of 7 items. So your team is having 7, you got 7, you got 7, you got 7. Do I think there's going to be overlap? Doesn't matter. I want you to see the process. Yours is sales, so yours is sales, okay? Are you with those guys? You're part of the sales group, right? You're doing sales, and then over here, yours is doing operations. So this is one team. You're talking about, what can I do to Kaizen operations, get so good at operations that this thing is like this, okay? Operations, all right? 7 minutes, minimum of 7 ideas or suggestions. If you come up with more in the 7 minutes, so much the better. See how many you can come up with, but a minimum of 7. Okay, Brian, start the clock. 7 minutes. Okay, people in position. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this. Let me have your attention. I'm going to come around the room, and I'm going to go to each team within a topic. Normally, I go and put these things on a flip chart, but because I've got the operations team, they're going to just type the stuff in real time up on the screen. So what you have is you have, Brian, you're going to do odds. Ryan, you're doing evens. So you'll see them both working in the same worksheet, typing information in. I could have 5 of them doing this if we wanted to do it this way. But I'm not even going to go to the flip chart. I'm going to just type the raw data in. The first group is all on. You can't do it that way. Okay, you dragged and dropped. You can't drag and drop. Okay, so I catch everything. Okay, so give me one. By the way, of all of you, how many of you had 10 items or more on your list? Can I see anybody with 10 items or more over here? Only one team had more than 10. Okay, that's more like it. I was expecting big things from this group. How many did your team have on your list?
25.
Get the heck out of here. 25.
She's my partner.
My goodness.
I lied.
13? Yeah, see, now that's what happens, huh? How many did you have on yours? 12? Okay, so my point is, just because you're told you got to have at least 7 doesn't mean stop at 7. How many people you say, well, we only have to have 7, we'll just quit here, okay? No, you're thinking.
9, but they're really good.
He's going, but we went for accuracy here, Pete. I've heard you speak before, I know. We're quality. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with coaching. You're going to give me 1 item off your list. I'm going to go to the next team. I'm going to keep going around and around and around until we get all the items. Give it to me in 2 to 3 word bullet points, no sentences. Give me your first item.
Have teenage exchange students.
Teenage exchange students. This team. Communication. What was that? Communications. Next team.
Formalize an education process.
Formalize an education process. By the way, another quick thing I need to tell you. You can't repeat what one of the other people said. The other thing is, I know the rest of you are looking at this, and I can tell because I'm doing this as real-time data capture, you're going, why should I write this stuff down? He's putting this stuff right up on the cloud. I'm going to just download this puppy as soon as this guy leaves the room. Normally, I would be telling you, you might want to write this stuff down, but you guys are already looking and saying, I don't have to. He's got it right up there. So remember how to get to this so you can download the information. Okay, where do we go? Where did I leave off? Over here, okay.
Institute DISC and motivators assessments into the company.
Okay. Bullet point, Don.
Institute assessments.
Institute assessments into company.
Right.
Got it. Okay, back up to the front.
Progress on feedback.
Progress on feedback. Next.
New hire.
New hire. Next.
Build coaching network.
Build coaching network. Next.
Get top 3 ideas from other coaches.
Get top 3 ideas from other coaches. Next.
Get a coach.
Get a coach. Next.
Team dynamics.
Team dynamics. Next.
track progress.
Use 360 to track progress. Next.
Identify positive coaching attributes.
Identify positive coaching attributes. Next.
Update plan.
Update plan. Next.
Customer service.
Customer service.
Yeah, with behavior styles.
Okay. Next.
Join a professional coaching organization.
Join a professional coaching organization. Next.
Be sure your middle managers can coach.
Be sure your middle managers can coach. Okay, I'm going to stop there only because of time and I want to get to all of them. Normally what I would do is I would continue until we exhausted everything that you had, then I would open up to the rest and say, does anybody help anything else? And we'd put it up. All I'm trying to do is, number one, demonstrate the tempo of a brainstorming process using separate teams. I had one time I had a client say, well, why don't we just have them all work as one topic? You'll only make that mistake one time, okay? You don't ever do that. What happens is over time you go, I shouldn't do it that way again. Okay, so what I'm getting at is watch the process. Okay, over to here, the next topic is marketing. So one item on marketing.
Facebook ads.
Facebook ads, next.
Social media.
Social media, next.
Speaker series.
Speaker series, next.
Identify target demographic.
Identify target demographics, next.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, next.
Blog.
Blog, next.
Airplane banners.
Airplane banners. That's not one I come up with normally. Okay, next.
Rocket with logos in space.
What's that?
Rocket with logos in space.
Rocket with logos in space. This is an extreme group over here in this corner. Okay, next.
Podcast.
Podcast, next.
Website redo.
Website redo, next.
Celebrity spokesperson.
Celebrity spokesperson, good, next.
Identify target needs.
Identify target needs. Okay, so how many we got up there? A bunch? Good. Okay, those are all marketing. I'm going to go over to now sales. Back to the VAC team. Let's take one off of your list.
Bring in a new team.
Huh?
Bring in a new team.
Bring in a new sales team? Put it down. Next.
Relationships.
Relationships, next. Oh, you're all part of that? Were you guys? Okay, you are on the other topic. Okay, back to the one back here. Okay, next. Another one? For sales.
Know your client and their needs, their style and needs.
Know your client and style of needs. Next.
Ask for the sale.
Ask for the sale. Next.
Attack. Go ahead. Create a benchmark.
Create a benchmark. Next.
Confront and overcome objections.
Confront and overcome objectives. Next.
Profiling using the disc plus the top producers.
Profiling using the disc for top producers. Next.
Communicate value.
Communicate value. Okay, we'll stop there. We're going to go to the last topic. Okay, so let's start off with this team right here. What's one for yours?
Create an org chart.
Create an org chart. Next.
Employee engagement survey.
Employee engagement survey. Were you all on the same team? Okay, back over to this.
Technology current.
Technology current. Next.
Client database. Review.
Client database. Next.
Logistics review.
Logistics review. Next.
Accounting and QuickBooks.
Accounting and QuickBooks. Next.
KPI.
KPI. Next.
Company retreats.
Company retreats. One more.
Online calendar.
Online calendar. Good. Next.
Customer service feedback.
Customer service feedback. Next.
CRM database.
CRM database. That's good. Now, what I was trying to do is I wanted to point out a couple of things. To make this work best, you probably want teams of 3 to 4 maximum. A team of 2 is okay, but 3 to 4 is best. A team of 5 is not as good, okay? A team of 1 is not a team. That wasn't really meant to be funny. I just thought I'd float that out there. Anyway, you also want to have best at least 4 separate teams per topic because it enables you to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the tempo works better. You could see what happens when I got down to 2 teams. It was harder to go back and forth, but that was the hand of cards you were dealt, and you had to play the hand. Same thing over here. It got a little trickier, but you can't change the tempo. You got to play it through. But if I had it to do over again, I would have been more careful in the way in which I structured the teams, but still not bad, all right? So now that we got this, there it is. What they've done is they've compiled all of this. They've got a total of 45 items. Normally when we're doing this, we take a little bit longer, but we'll have 100 items. In round figures, 25 based on each topic. And then what we tell them is, your job at the end of the conference or throughout the conference is to go and add more items to this list while the other people are speaking. Anytime you hear them say anything, you go and you write it into this list. Go right up on the cloud, write it into the list if you want to, okay? And by the way, date over there on the right-hand side for today's date, here, date listed, okay? And so what happens is, now for tomorrow, you're adding some other things and you're putting in the topic category that it's under. You're going to end up with, let's say, 100 items. At the end of the conference, you look through and you say, okay, what are the 3 top priorities that I have coming out of this year's Assessment 360 or Assessment 24/7 conference? What are the 3 top priorities that I'm going to do as a follow-up? You go over to the REAS page, page 3, scroll. You go, my A1 is this, scroll up. My A1 is this, my A2 is this, my A3 is this. Who's my lead? Well, it's me. Wingman, that is a person that I'm going to interface with to let them know I'm on track. So you can say, yeah, but I had a pretty good rapport with so-and-so while I was at the conference. I'm going to pick them as my wingman for this topic. And then what I'm going to do is, on a such and such a date, I'm going to contact my wingman and I'm going to say, I owe you an update on where I'm at on this, some accountability. So they don't have to contact you. You have to contact them and say, this is where I am on this. Just wanted to let you know I'm tracking this stuff. Okay? And then you can put down what the target date is and what the progress is. Any other ideas you get from the conference, you say, these are my follow-up actions. We put in there enough space to put in, what, about 25? Rarely do I see more than about 10 or 12 in there. But those are things that are good ideas that I want to do, and the time frame on that is over the next 1 to 6 weeks. Not something that's 2 years out. Those things that are further out, leave over here on the tip page. Those are things that I'm going to try to do further on down the line, but that's where I go to get my ideas from. And I can change any of these pages at any time. All I have to do is update the page, change that information, and put in blue that that's a change. And that's how the thing works. Now, I know what you're thinking. If I come over to this MSA page, that is where every month I have to identify the top 2 most important strategic accomplishments that were made that month, and I'm going to list them in there. Just like I showed you on Fiona's, or if I showed you Ryan's, or if I showed you Brian's, or I showed you mine, I'd go to that page and you say to me, so, what have you done lately? Don't tell me, show me. And I just open up, I turn that page, and I go, that's right there, that's it. Okay, I learned this from working with the Army, where I'd get some commander to say, so, it's not what's going on last month or whatever, it's like, what have you done for me lately? I go, sir, here it is, it's on this page right here. And I'd show him the page and he'd go, okay, you made your point. You see, don't tell me, show me. So, we are now coming up to about the 7-minute point, so I'm going to walk you through the rest of it. Go to this page here, page 7, strategic ground rules. We put this together because when we would have meetings with our team, we'd say there's some things here that we want to try to get the point across that this is what rapid strategic execution means. Number 1, bigger. You should be arriving 15 minutes early for every single meeting. I'd have people arrive and they'd say, right on time. I go, actually, you're 15 minutes late. You should have been here at least 15 minutes early. I'll get there at least 30 minutes out of schedule. I'm not even going to get into this, but Tony already knows. I was here, what, 7:30? He goes, you know, the thing doesn't start until 8:30. I go, yeah, man. You're here, aren't you? He goes, yeah, man. My point is, get there early, okay? So we have you put your initial. Next thing is called the 20-minute drill. The 20-minute drill basically means this. Anytime you have an important sales call that you're going to be going into, an important phone call that you're going to be making where you're talking to a potential client, past client, current client, prospect, staff member, it's important, do what I call the 20-minute drill. 1 hour before that contact or that call, spend 20 minutes and outline what are all the key points that you want to talk about in that meeting. Be more organized and more prepared than they are. I was having these meetings with some of the Vistage chairs up in Orange County. This one guy, Larry Cassidy's been a Vistage chair for 30 years. He would come into a meeting with me, and we'd be sitting there in a coffee shop, and he said, so what is your top issue today? And I'd go, and he goes, you're pretty organized and prepared for this, aren't you? I said, like you would not believe. Take everything seriously as if this was the biggest deal you were going to close, no matter how small it is. Be 100% prepared every time going in. Sun Tzu said, the most organized, most prepared, most focused will always prevail. He's not kidding, okay? Be prepared. So, 20-minute drill. Take your card in or write it out on a piece of paper. In fact, actually, there's a page that we developed for this. It may not be in here, but we can get it to you. It's called How to Get the Most Out of Your Next Meeting. Next thing, your notes capture system. If you have something that you take notes in, Fiona, the first time I met Fiona, she's sitting in the conference room. I said, did you bring anything with you? She brings her purse up and she sets it on the table. I said, I meant to take notes on. And she starts taking the stuff out. She is more organized than you wouldn't possibly believe. She has a journal in there. It's like, but I didn't want to be too intrusive to make it look like I was like too aggressive, okay? So, but it is, you've got a journal that you use, you've got something that you use to take notes. The point is you look like you're there to do business. I always use 3x5 cards, okay? So, have your own notes capture system and be conspicuous. I had somebody one time say, you should always ask, would it be okay if I take notes? Now, I hope I'm not going to offend anybody. I would never ask that question. You better assume that I take what you say serious enough that I'm going to write the stuff down, because otherwise, if you're not taking notes, I'm wondering whether this meeting is worthwhile. I've been in meetings where I've been talking to somebody, and they've seen me do this. I will reach into my pocket, and I'll pass the card across, and when I say, they'll look at me and go, what's that for? I said, I pretty much know this stuff backwards and forwards, but you might want to write some of this stuff down. It's like, you got to be kidding me. You're not taking notes? To not take notes when you're talking to somebody important is almost insulting. So don't even ask, just go, I'm ready, man, you see? So have a notes capture system. Next, your follow-up action system. Be conspicuous. Recap. I had somebody I was talking to one time, and they said, so to follow up on today's meeting, I'm going to be sending you out da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm going, these guys are good. You can tell they've been in sales training. They recapped and told me what they were going to do to send something to me. They're not asking for me to do something. They're telling me what they're going to do for me. I was impressed. Right off the bat, you stand head and shoulders above most people in a meeting. Next, volunteer for every opportunity. Somebody says, listen, we're going to need somebody to do such and such. You go, I'll do it. By the time you start holding up your hand for everything, they're going to start going, this is the go-to person. Make sure you don't lose that. I don't know what you're paying these people, but you ought to raise their pay. You follow me? Be the go-to person. Next one, volunteer for every hour. 48-hour response time. If you say you're going to do something, within 48 hours, even if you don't have it done, send them a note saying, wanted to give you an update on the status of what we talked about at the meeting the other day. Sorry, I got a little bit behind schedule. If I do not have this done by such and such, I'll send you another status note. Do it in 48 hours. The biggest problem you have is when you hit the 3, 4, 5 day window, people go, just like everybody else, man, out of sight, out of mind, just fell through the cracks, nothing's getting done. You might be doing something, but if you don't send them a status every 48 hours to remind them that it's not off your mind, you're still focused on it, you continue to maintain confidence. You'll never be criticized or faulted for this, but you'll be faulted for not doing anything. Okay, next one. Carbon copy yourself on all important emails. It shows you're keeping track. There's been a few occasions where I didn't carbon copy myself on something, and then somebody said something, I have to go back and try to find it in my sent file. There was something that happened recently where I looked at this and I went, I can't believe I did not include that attachment. What a stupid move on my part. They were right. But if you follow me, if you're carbon copying yourself, you see what they get when they get it. Anything that's important, carbon copy yourself on the email. Next, rapid acknowledgement of every important email that comes in. If somebody sends you something that has important information that you've been waiting for, even if you're in a meeting, send a note back and say, thank you very much. I will review this as soon as I get back to my office. Appreciate your rapid response. Let them know that you got the email and you're aware of it, okay? Next one, your email signature. We suggest that you put your PR photo on there because it's amazing what happens when people start to see you, and I can give you an example, okay? Suzette, I felt like I knew her. We've been exchanging emails now for the past, 5 4, 5, 6 months. I felt like I knew her. We're going back and forth. I went to call her the other day. I looked up the signature. I called her. I said, so you're in San Diego, right? She goes, oh, no, I'm a little further outside of San Diego. I'm on the fringe. Where's the fringe? Like 1,000 miles away. But the point is, you think you know them because you're used to seeing their picture, okay? Now, I know people in real estate go overboard with this, so I got your point. But the point is, you develop a rapport with them. Be sure your cell phone is on there, but not in the link, because if I'm trying to call you and I don't have your phone number, but I go to the email, I see, there's the phone number. I just press it on my smartphone, it calls you. The same thing with your website. Don't have it in the JPEG. Have it separate so that you can press on it to get to the thing. Same way with the address, right? Okay, and then, let's see. That's the last one. I would suggest the greatest competitive advantage any one of us could ever have is to have a personal strategic execution plan for what we're trying to accomplish. I have down on mine vacation dates with my wife and family, what I'm going to do in January, my next Super Bowl party, anything that's going on. If it has anything to do with something that's important to you or I, we should have a personal strategic business plan or execution plan. What it does is it works for anything that you take seriously that's important to you. And so I wouldn't rule it out on anything. I started doing these things probably about 40 years ago. This has been a game changer. So, all right, we've been at this for a while. I'm going to give you my closing comments. All right, so walk them through the rest of this. You are up to that. I think you have the whole thing here. Instructions, CCIs, type that up, branding and touch point analysis. That's not in your handout. Because I was only going to be doing an hour, I didn't want to overwhelm you with all these pages, but there's a lot more to this. But remember, everything is only one page. Nothing is more than one page, okay? There's the after action review. Oh, this is a good one. Click this one. This one here says, if I come to a conference like this, I am required to identify the 3 sharpest people that I have not met before. Who are the 3 sharpest new people that I met at this event? I got to get their cards and I got to add it to this list. Anytime you go to any kind of a meeting or event, no matter what it happens to be, you've got to identify the 3 sharpest people that you have not met before, get their cards and put their information on this. Now your list will start to grow and you're doing it strategically. Don't collect 20 cards. Just get the top 3. If I got the top 3 and I know this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3, even if I'm wrong, by the 10th time I do this, I'll get really good at this. Most people get a whole bunch of business cards. They give their business cards out to everybody. Instead of trying to determine what the priorities are, do it this way. I can show, if we had time, I could show you everything I'm telling you. We have in detail, my report is right there. We do this for real, okay? All right, so I'm out of time, so if you have any questions, you can pick up the phone and call me anytime. My phone number is 949-233-5566. My address is pete@strategicplanning.com. I'm available anytime. We have a website. It's the peeradvisoryforum.com. It'll give you information on all of this stuff. So I'm going to share with you my closing story that I have not used in years and years and years, but I got this from my very first NSA program that I attended in '79, where I heard Jim Rohn say this in front of 100 people. And I sat down and wrote this down, and I thought this was the most profound thing I'd ever heard. There were 2 great orators of ancient time. One of these was Greek, Demosthenes. The other one was Roman, Cicero. These 2 individuals were extremely spectacular at giving public presentations, but they were distinctly different in the results they got. It was said of those who heard Cicero speak, they would say, what a fantastic speech, how inspirational, how motivational. It was said of those who heard Demosthenes speak, they'd say, let's march. Some people speak for others to learn. Some people speak for others to use. Like Tony, like Don, like the rest of us, all of us that are coaches in this area. I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say our goal is to fall into that second category. Thank you all for investing some time out of your lives with me today. It's been a real privilege. Thank you very much.
you, Pete. Thank you, Pete. Boy, I'll tell you, this is really exciting. How many of you got some really good ideas from this? I mean, this guy is just an idea a minute. He had 90 minutes, 90 ideas. And I have to tell you, I've known him for 38 years, and these little cards in his pocket 38 years ago. Every single time I see him, he has these cards in his pocket. What he told you today, he absolutely does day in and day out. He walks the talk. Not every speaker walks the talk. Whatever Pete told you, he does, and I have seen it for 38 years, and it really does work. So again, we really appreciate it. It's not easy to be the closing speaker on a day, but I chose Pete because of his energy and how much interaction he has, so you just knocked it out of the park. I appreciate it. So the night is yours. If you are doing things, a couple of places that you might want to look at. Little Italy, which is one of the bigger Little Italies in the United States. It's actually one of the Little Italies that's growing, whereas most others are shrinking. And also the Gas Lamp. If you haven't been to the Gas Lamp, it's a real very busy, exciting area, restaurants, entertainment, et cetera, downtown San Diego. And of course, if you want to do a little bit more snooty things, go into La Jolla, all right? But go to the ATM first, all right? Otherwise, we start right on time tomorrow. Well, at 8 o'clock, we'll have coffee and Danish outside. So if you want to do that instead of a full breakfast, just do the coffee and Danish. 8:30 sharp, we have Hall of Fame, National Speakers Association Hall of Fame speaker, Don Hudson, talking about how to sell value, not price. And then it just takes off from there. I mean, we have speaker after speaker after speaker. We have Doug DeVitri talking about screen-to-screen selling. You know, a lot of us today, we sell distance. We're not necessarily face-to-face with people in person, but we can be face-to-face with people on a computer screen. And I have to tell you, I have found that selling face-to-face on a computer screen is like 100 times more powerful than selling on a telephone. When you can connect visually with somebody, just like what Pete said. Pete, you saw Suzette's picture, and it created a connection. So, and it just goes on from there. Right after that, we have our break, and then the Whisperer comes on, Steve Sisler. I mean, it's just a full day tomorrow of incredible material. If you like today, you will love tomorrow. All right? So we'll see you all 8 o'clock. We start at 8:30. All right? Thank you.